And welcome to a special climate science chat edition of the OBX Wave Report, where I provide analysis and commentary about what the climate scientists are talking about. And I've gone through some of the climate science Twitter feeds to provide you guys with some of the main topics. This particular session of the OBX Wave Report looking at climate science chat is a forward-looking, tongue-in-cheek, a little bit humorous essay based on what climate scientists are saying. If I focus on a climate scientist or some climate science in this discussion, I encourage you to go to these climate scientists and amplify their messages. I'm going to provide some takeaways, my takeaways from what the climate scientists are saying. But of course, the climate scientists are the main source, so go to them first. This analysis and discussion is merely meant to amplify what they're saying. And today, I think we've got a pretty positive take on what the climate scientists are saying, um, if a little bit humorous. The title of this episode being Thermodynamics says fossil fuels are effed. And I don't know, I must say that this is a little bit of me tweaking the nose of fossil fuel industry cheerleaders who spent years and years and years flooding my climate blog with, um, we'll just say silly people who wanted to try and convince me that thermodynamics said that the only energy source we could use was fossil fuels, which was just a bunch of malarkey. But in real science, in real facts, what we are finding out is that thermodynamics means that fossil fuels are literally effed, and the reason is multifold because, well, let's do a little bit of preamble because according to thermodynamics, we can't really keep burning fossil fuels and have a livable climate. We're going to see more and more intense storms, more and more intense droughts, and rising seas that inundate our coastlines if we keep burning fossil fuels. All the results of thermodynamics, of the burning of fossil fuels that then set off a heating of the atmosphere and a series of events that would really hurt us. But the good news is that though thermodynamics are not on the side of fossil fuels when it comes to consequences, they also seem to be on the side of clean energy when it comes to competing with fossil fuels because fossil fuels are stuck in the past. They don't innovate or develop and advance as rapidly as clean energy. Clean energy has like this tech computer kind of economy of scale that creates this churning snowball of advances. And we're going to look at that side of the thing as well today in some of the tweets and anecdotes and statements provided by climate scientists and experts on clean energy. So first off, we're going to start with one of the things that is a truism. And we're going to start off with Professor Elliot Jacobson, who, yeah, I haven't followed Elliot, so I'm going to do that, who says today the Northern Hemisphere is at a record 1.61 degrees Celsius above the 1979 through 2000 mean. With this heat, the Northern Hemisphere atmosphere can hold over 11% more water vapor. So you get that extra heat in the northern hemisphere, and you get more evaporation from the land surface and more capacity to hold water vapor in the atmosphere, which what Professor Elliot Jacobson is talking about. And that water's up there. And according to Professor Elliot Jacobson, sooner or later that water is going to precipitate somewhere. Spoiler alert, California. And so here he is tracking the Northern Hemisphere temperature anomalies. And I'm just going to harken back to this graphic that we just recently showed you. Elliot Jacobson and NOAA are in agreement. California is going to get the big dump, and we're getting an atmospheric river running in toward California. Um, it's interesting, I kind of just discovered it looking at the models earlier today while we were watching together, and now I'm going through the Twitters and I'm finding confirmation from the climate scientists who are really on point looking at this thing. You guys in California, please listen to the experts like Elliot Jacobson and watch out because there's a big old river of moisture in a hotter than normal atmosphere aimed at you, courtesy of the fossil fuel industry and thermodynamics. Okay, so let's get into another feature of climate science that tells us that the fossil fuel industry is effed. Now, um, this map, so spoiler alert, this map was, I was reading Catherine Hayhoe's Twitter feed, and and she linked this coastal flood exposure mapper provided by NOAA, and talking about risks to coastal cities and coastal homes. In particular, it's worth noting that along the coast of Texas, we've got folks trying to sell these coastal homes that will soon be underwater if we keep burning fossil fuels. And I don't know, maybe there's no way to save some of these coastal homes. I still think that we should try and save all of the coastal homes because, now I'm living on the coastline, and so my risk factor is a lot higher. But also, living on the coastline gives you a nice quality of life. So there's a lot of us sitting here on the coastline who have a beautiful quality of life because we live on the coastline, and there's just so much richness provided by nature on the coastline, the nature that we still have and that we can still protect if we do the things. But there is that fossil fuel industry thing that's burning carbon, injecting it into the atmosphere, causing heat to increase and creating risk of melting the glaciers, which is going to put all of the coastlines under threat, some more than others, as we can see here in Texas and Louisiana in the coastal flood risk mapper. So you got these really severe coastal flood risks here in Texas and Louisiana. And when you add in melting glaciers, it just gets worse. So the thing I've got to say about this, thermodynamics says the fossil fuel industry is aft. What's going to happen when all us coastal homeowners suddenly realize in greater and greater numbers that the fossil fuel industry has lied to us about what the risks are for living on the coastlines? And um, much like the Fox News house of cards that is tumbling down now, what are the consequences of that? I mean, what does the fact of heat hitting the ocean in a thermodynamic kind of way mean for those who lie about it? All right, just a thought here, courtesy of this train of thought, um, inspired by inspired by my reading of Catherine Hayhoe. So I don't know, others might have different thoughts, but I encourage you to check out Catherine Hayhoe's Twitter feed. All right. Now let's get down to thermodynamics here. It's interesting. Thomas Nowak, a fellow Ukraine supporter, yay, good guy. I'm already following him, so kudos for me for already following Thomas. Thomas is a Secretary General of the EHPA, convinced supporter of green energy and efficient energy, and he thinks that 100% renewables is possible. He's got a heat pump in the basement, and he's also got a set of solar panels on the roof. So he's doing the climate action thing at the individual level. Good guy, good stuff. This tweet retweeted by Professor Michael E. Mann. So Michael Mann, one of the prominent climate scientists out there, and also out there promoting positive messaging and accurate messaging on the issue of clean energy. So let's read what Thomas Nowak has to say. The technical advantages are clear and undisputed, and from personal experience, EVs and heat pumps are more fun and comfortable. Fossil fuel money can and does not change thermodynamics. We must not stop stressing that urgency and agency, as Michael Mann calls it. This in response to a statement from Matt Matoli Guglio, who I've blocked. He's just basically dissing on clean energy. I'm not going to amplify his Twitter statement by posting it. I don't really like to amplify clean energy deniers, but basically it was dissing clean energy. And Thomas provides this clear-eyed response. And I mean, from my experience, EVs are fantastic. And I also have a heat pump out here. We are going to get a solar panel array on the roof and we will benefit. But I will say that I benefit considerably from the EV and from the efficiency provided by the heat pump, reduces costs of electricity. And for my EV, it cost me $1 a day to fuel the EV at home with electricity and combined with the heat pump. So duh, kind of like a well, duh kind of moment. And I also, don't have oil changes. I don't like to suffer. I'm not like suffering to have the EV. There's this like whole like wrong meme out there in the media. It's like, oh, EVs are only for people who like to suffer. Wrong. EVs are for like awesome and fun, and I don't pay a lot of money on fuel and maintenance, and I don't spend my time doing fuel and maintenance. And oh, by the way, the value of my car is rather close to what it was when I bought it 4 years ago. So F you internal combustion engines, yay EVs. I'm gonna get an upgrade when I sell my EV and get a new one. I'm gonna get an even better car because of the high value in my car right now. So yeah, thank you EVs and F you ICEs. And you know, mm, clean energy denier types who just don't tell the truth. But in any case, yeah, so thermodynamics, wrecking the atmosphere, and thermodynamics with ICEs not really working out on efficiency, guys. I don't know when you guys are going to get the memo, but lying about wind turbines causing cancer and EVs not being worthwhile, just kind of poo-pooing it all. It's not working. People are starting to get it, and more the technology is lining up to make EVs and solar and wind and heat pumps and all the clean energy things even better. All right, so thank you, Thomas. Thank you, Dr. Michael Mann, for the awesome info. And then I'm going to move on to another one, another retweet by Professor Catherine Hayhoe. Laurel Stanley, PhD of ACT on Climate. Laurel is a scientist with a passion for creating a sustainable, non-toxic world, born at 315 parts per million. And talking about how effective clean energy deployment is now versus later. There's this whole kind of false narrative surrounding this notion that, well, we can't deploy clean energy now. We have to wait. But the thing is, if we deploy energy now, it's so much more effective in helping us, right? And this is what Laurel Stanley reminds us of. She says, or quotes the global eco guy, a climate solution which is Dr. Jonathan Foley. A climate solution deployed today does 26 times more work on the atmosphere by 2050 than a same size solution developed in 2049. So deploying now has a multiplier effect in preventing climate harm. And then, of course, Laurel is retweeting Dr. Jonathan Foley. He is the executive director of Project Drawdown, which looks at a comprehensive methodology for achieving net zero and net negative global carbon emissions through both sustainability and through clean energy deployment. And Dr. Foley is stating that when it comes to climate change, the word solutions should mean things that materially affect the atmosphere by avoiding or removing um, approximately zero point 0.1 gigatons of CO2 per year starting now. Not someday, now. So, meaning mass deployment time for the solutions is now, not yesterday. And yeah, another reason why, as this truth sinks in, the fossil fuel industry is pretty effed, according to thermodynamics. Okay, let's get down to talking a little bit about stupid. And a lot has come to light about Fox News and Tucker Carlson misinforming the public these days, and primarily in the promotion of the big lie by Donald Trump leading up to the January 6th violent insurrection to attempt to overthrow democracy on January 6th. But we've got to say that the same kind of messaging employed by Fox and others on political issues has also been employed on the issue of clean energy. And so I wanted to just highlight this statement by Peter Gleek about Fox News and Tucker Carlson. And of course, he's mocking them, but it's some pretty good tongue-in-cheek mockery here. It's really apt. Peter Gleek, also a climate scientist and expert on water. Um, Co-founder of the Pacific Institute Climate and Water 2018 Carl Sagan Award for Public Communications. Peter Glick is fantastic. Follow him, check him out, read his stuff. It'll make you smarter. We're going to make fun of Tucker Carlson and Fox News because well deserved. So Peter Glick says, according to Fox News and Tucker Carlson, 1912, the Titanic's voyage was largely very smooth. 1937, 99% of the Hindenburg's flight was lovely. Just kind of showing the spin factor here. 1941, the Japanese Navy mostly just floats around the Pacific. 1963, Oswald spent much of his time enjoying downtown Dallas. There might have been another thing, but we won't report on that, right? And I don't know. I think this is kind of encapsulates the whole denial of clean energy thing as well. I know it's a little bit out. I don't know. I think it actually, you know what? It's totally in context. It's the same de-think is employed with denying clean energy, or attempting to deny clean energy and denying climate crisis as is employed by the likes of Fox and Tucker Carlson in spreading misinformation on various other subjects. So yeah, kudos to Peter Gleek for being on point, highlighting the Fox News house of non-information cards and greed and grift and all the crazy stuff, crazy chaos going on over there. All right, so let's get back to thermodynamics and technology, because there is a big breakthrough on the way for electric vehicles, apparently. Terry Hughes, our big expert on coral reefs and big advocate for clean energy and major critic of the fossil fuel industry, up on Twitter. Follow Terry Hughes, sorry. Follow Terry Hughes. He will make you more intelligent and make you fall in love with the beautiful ocean environments that we enjoy today that are sadly under risk because of um, processes kicked off by fossil fuel burning. But we can act on climate and we can save them. And you know what? The battery technology that's coming down the pipe is looking really darn good. And I'm just going to read the first paragraph of an article that I think you guys should read in the Sydney Morning Herald about the new batteries that are coming down the pipe. It says the title is New Electric Batteries That Will Wash Away the Need for Fossil Fuels. Of course, this is an opinion piece, but it does provide yet one more bit of fuel for optimism for the clean energy transition, and yet one more nail in the coffin of the harmful fossil fuel industry. This one written by Ambrose Evan Pritchard. And the first paragraph is the Argonne National Laboratory in the US has essentially cracked the battery technology for electric vehicles, discovering a way to raise the future driving range of standard EVs to 1,000 miles or more. It promises to do so cheaply without exhausting the global supply of critical minerals. And here we close the loop on why thermodynamics says fossil fuels are effed. And it comes from essentially this. The clean energy revolution provides solutions to present problems, like those kicked off by the burning of fossil fuels pushing heat into the atmosphere that right now is helping to hurl a heavily loaded atmospheric river at California and put California under the gun for once again very severe weather. And that is also hurling a crisis of sea level rise and increasingly severe storms at all of us living here on the coastline. So, on the one side, there is a great negative that is facing millions and millions, possibly billions of people. And on the other hand, we have this beautiful and amazing positive. The positive that comes from innovation and employing that wonderful problem solving feature of the human mind to aim it at producing solutions that help our world. Perhaps never have the two been married in such a more positive way than in the production of progress for clean energy and sustainability. And we're putting our minds to good use here. We're throwing good investment after good, and we're throwing good brain power after good. And that is one of the major reasons why fossil fuels are effed, because people are just going to start to see, I can have this thing. I can eat ice cream and get skinny because of science. I mean, no, I'm not literally saying you can eat ice cream and get sit skinny, so don't do that. But I can drive an electric vehicle, have heat pumps, um, eat Beyond Burgers. I can have um, a society that loves nature and that does the things that help nature if we listen to those like Dr. Foley. Um, across a broad range of issues, we have beautiful forests, beautiful oceans, beautiful coastlines, rich experiences in our lives, rich lives. We can do that. It's almost like having ice cream and getting skinny. And that's what clean energy does. Thermodynamics, folks. This is why the fossil fuel industry is effed. Don't listen to the fossil fuel industry on in their thermodynamics mangling of the facts. Yeah, yeah, we have a clean energy future ahead, and it's very positive, and it's much more positive if we do it now. Why wait? Let's eat that yummy ice cream that makes us skinny. Okay, so thank you guys for joining me for this tongue-in-cheek poking fun at the bad actors session of the OBX Wave Report, where we promote all things climate science. And I encourage you to follow and amplify the messaging of climate scientists. Listen to them. If I got something wrong um, in this climate science chat session, and you're a climate scientist, like an actual one, and I need to correct something, I will in a later session. But please listen to the climate scientists and the clean energy experts and amplify their works. Let's use just social media for the good and not let it be a tool for the bad actors. So thank you for joining me once again, and I will be back with you from the beaches